Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here with some more Caesar. We're on to Gergovia, 52 BC, Caesar's first defeat. Um, Last episode, he nearly, he just got away. He was in Britain, and yeah, a couple of close battles, but in the end, he came on top, and well, I guess he came out on top. He didn't really gain any land, but he had some skirmishes and basically took back off. Back across the passage, whatever that passage is called. I'm sorry. Uh, but yeah, and what was I gonna say? So basically he kind of learned the lay of the land and the people and their tactics over there. Um, I'm not sure if this means if this is he going back over there for, is that where this defeat's going to be, or is it like a new, I guess, enemy or tribe rises up against him? I guess I'll find out. Obviously, probably find out pretty quick in this episode, I'm assuming. Um, but yeah, I'm really liking the series. It's not like it's like blasting through, so it's really cool. It's kind of I like it. Yeah. So, but I hope you guys like it. But I like it. So, yeah, what else is there to say? 52 BC, and obviously it'd be kind of cool to see what's, more, what's going on in, I guess, in the Republic, to see more, like I said, how more people, I guess, kind of look at him and how the other leaders down there in Republic, what they might do, because they see he's getting more power. So maybe we'll learn some more about that. That'd be really cool. But yeah, definitely very interesting stuff. Um, but let's just jump into it. Before we do, please like and subscribe below, guys. If you haven't yet, please and thank you. And yeah, let's do it. All right. This is from Kings and Generals. Great channel. Definitely check it out.
With the first campaign in Britannia unsuccessful, Caesar was eager to return and conquer this island again.
Okay.
At the same time, the political and military situation in Rome and Gaul were very complicated. Caesar's ambitions pushed his internal and external enemies to move against him. They were seemingly countless and brought him to the brink. After dealing with some administrative matters in 54 BC, Caesar began planning a second campaign in Britain. Almost 600 transports and 28 warships were built.
So basically, I guess after the previous, goings on in Britain, he came back and kind of returned back south to kind of like calm things down and get, he can go out, so he can trust what's going back on at home before he goes back out on another, yeah, my surrounding mind's blank of these words. When he go on his excursion, on not an excursion, but you know what I mean, his next mission. He had to make sure everything at home was good and settled, and now he's back on and eager to get back over to Britain because, it wasn't like he had like a decisive victory and conquered it. So he's probably like, dang it, I really need to show everyone back home that I can do this. And so I guess that, and this is defeat. So apparently, Britain's gonna get the best of them, because maybe Britain's learned a lot about their tactics as well. So
Almost 600 transports and 28 warships were built, implementing Veneti shipbuilding techniques better suited to the rough seas. Caesar called on his Gallic allies and vassals and amassed 4,000 cavalry, including tribal leaders, once again bolstering his army and minimizing the risk of revolts in Gaul. He left half of his cavalry and 3 legions in Gaul and crossed with 5 legions and 2,000 cavalry, more than double his previous numbers. This was going to be a full invasion.
here we go.
Caesar landed at the same place as before, but this time he was unopposed. He quickly established a camp in the area and sent out scouts, who promptly brought back some local prisoners. They informed Caesar that a large army had actually gathered to oppose the landing, but had retreated upon seeing the size of Caesar's force. Leaving a legion at the camp, he immediately set out in search of the Briton army.
Cool.
The Romans marched through the night and were able.
Okay, so yeah, Britain's definitely like, oh crap, they got more troops, but part of me, like, I kind of, like I said, I don't like spoilers in anything, so I wish they didn't say defeat. So, part of me is thinking, Britain's kind of waiting for them to come back, and they're kind of seem like they're retreating, waiting for them to follow. Maybe or lead him into a trap, because it already has this like kind of planned out for him. We'll find out.
The Romans marched through the night and were able to catch up to the Britons in a hill fort on the other side of a river. Although the Romans were tired, Caesar was determined to confront the Britons and began crossing. The Britons' cavalry and chariots rushed down from the high ground to harass the Romans as they crossed. Caesar's allied Gallic cavalry were experienced in fighting in such scenarios and proved their value, chasing off the Britons, who quickly retreated to the woods surrounding the fort. As the legions began their advance up the hill, they were harassed from the woods by the Britons, preventing them from making significant progress in.
Well, it's like Britons, like I said, they kind of pulled Britain. Britain pulled the Romans back. Basically, exactly what they wanted. They got a fort, and it's probably fully supplied, prepared for this. So, and obviously, Britain has the home field advantage here. They know what's going on around them. So, I can understand with defeat, So, see if Caesar kind of pulls back and reassesses what's going on.
Were harassed from the woods by the Britons, preventing them from making significant progress until the 12th Legion formed a testudo and were able to make a rudimentary rampart in order to move over the walls. The Romans were now inside the fortifications, but the Britons were quick to escape the fort and retreated deeper into the woods.
That was easy.
Considering the men had carried out a night march and battle, and that he did not know the terrain and whether any more Britons would be waiting for him, Caesar made camp for the night.
Okay, I see what it's saying about the fort. And this is what the fort actually looks like. Then I can see why they probably overtook it. My mind, because from Crusades and just other previous battles I've seen throughout videos, not the Caesar ones, but I'm thinking castles. I'm like, oh shit, how are they going to be able to pull this off now? But it basically kind of just like a fence, I guess, around it. So it's not like this big opposing castle. So my mind was thinking something more, more crazy.
Whether any more Britons would be waiting for him, Caesar made camp for the night. The next day, word reached him that a storm in the night had again damaged his ships. Without the ships, Caesar would be at the mercy of the Britons, so he decided to prioritize overseeing their repairs. He commanded his army to reassemble and march back to the beach. Upon arriving, he discovered that 40 ships were beyond repair, but the rest were salvageable. Caesar ordered that the ships be brought onto the beach, and a large wall was constructed encompassing the camp and the ships.
Oh, damn.
He also sent word to Labienus to build more ships in Gaul. He then set off once again to find the Britons. They were in the same hill fort, but it was a larger force than before, under the command of Cassivellaunus, a tribal leader beyond the Thames, who was appointed the leader of a united coalition against the Romans.
We're a different way, okay.
Caesar had marched past this fort, possibly not wanting to attack such a large and fortified enemy, instead attacking exposed villages to try and draw Cassivellaunus out.
Oh.
At the same time, his troops were constantly harassed by the Britons' cavalry and chariots, fighting skirmishes with the Roman cavalry on the flanks, luring them into the forests before turning back to inflict significant casualties.
Wow. Uh-oh.
The Britons seemingly allowed the Roman advanced party time to begin making a fort for.
I don't know, but it seems like, they're kind of getting surrounded here. I don't know. I don't know if that's the best idea to push forward like that, but kind of military genius. So what am I talking about? Caesar knows what he's doing. uh, I guess because I had the fact that it's his defeat, I'm trying to prevent the defeat before it happens. And just notice that looks like there's a nice force going on over here to the top right. So let's see how this plays out.
The Britons seemingly allowed the Roman advanced party time to begin making a fort for the night. However, as construction began, the Britons attacked again. The Romans who were on guard were able to form a line to defend the site, but the fighting was brutal, with the Briton chariots darting in and out of the Roman formation. Caesar was forced to send a further 2 cohorts from the vanguard to quickly reinforce this line. The Romans were not used to the Briton style of fighting, particularly chariot hit-and-run tactics, drawing out the Roman infantry from formation who were too slow to catch them. At one point, the Britons were able to draw out a maniple far enough to create a gap, which they were able to exploit, punching through the Roman line and inflicting many casualties. It was not until the rest of the Roman army caught up that the Britons disengaged and retreated. Cassivellaunus was proving himself a cunning enemy. Caesar marched to the Thames, towards Cassivellaunus' own territories, in an attempt to draw them out.
These chariots are kicking butt, though, guys. Look, they got some more over here. I mean, it seems like they're avoiding that big battle that they lost last time. They've learned from apparently learned from the like I said, the past time they got involved with the Romans, and they're sticking to what worked at the beginning of that time, which is hit and run tactics, and the chariots are working great with that. And the rest of these guys, they're kind of just sitting back and let the chariots do the work. And I guess they're probably going to jump in when they're distracted with them. I'm not sure, but yeah, careful, Caesar. Careful, Caesar.
Towards Cassivellaunus' own territories in an attempt to draw them out. Though he was able to find a position on the river where he could cross, the legions were once again harassed by Britons amassed on the other bank, who quickly retreated once the Romans were on dry land. Cassivellaunus then made the decision to dismiss the vast majority of his army except for 4,000 chariots, likely realizing that fighting a pitched battle against the Roman heavy infantry would be futile. A smaller force would serve him much better in a guerrilla war. It would be easier to hide, faster to move, and need fewer supplies to maintain. Given the fact that he knew the terrain and Caesar did not, this was a smart and calculated move. However, Cassivellaunus' previous wars with other Britons had made him many enemies, and his new guerrilla tactics were not popular with the Trinobantes, whose leader Cassivellaunus had previously killed. They sent envoys to Caesar, surrendering and promising hostages. The Trinobantes were second in power only to Cassivellaunus himself, and without their support, numerous tribes followed suit, surrendering to Caesar. They also provided critical intel to Caesar, including the location of Cassivellaunus' capital. Caesar marched there, another hill fort, burning all villages and fields on the way, and besieged it from both sides, once again hoping to draw the Briton leader into a direct confrontation. Cassivellaunus, however, did not take the bait. Although his guerrilla tactics were effective, they were taking a toll on the Britons, and the defenders within the capital quickly fled. Cassivellaunus realized he needed to gain a victory. Not wanting to fight Caesar directly though, he instead sent envoys to 4 allied kings in Kent, who launched an attack on the Roman camp on the beach in order to...
Okay, so obviously this is, Britain wasn't Britain. This is the start of, a thing. So like, there's not like one king across everything. So there's a bunch of different tribes, and they all have their own agendas, and they've all basically has big civil war over the years, I guess. And yeah, they're not really a decisive, strong unit. So it's kind of interesting how these factors are taking place.
Kings in Kent, who launched an attack on the Roman camp on the beach in order to try and draw Caesar away from Cassivellaunus's land. However, the Roman fortifications were strong, and the force Caesar had left on the beach was easily able to repel the attack.
Nice.
Cassivellaunus was forced to sue for peace. Caesar readily accepted in exchange for hostages and tribute. Winter was closing in, and he had no desire to spend it in unknown, hostile lands. The Romans returned to the beach and sailed back to Gaul.
Okay. Victory, really.
Overall, it is hard to see the invasion as an immense military victory. Cassivellaunus had not been decisively defeated in battle nor captured, and the Romans maintained no presence in Britain. From the Briton standpoint, it was a strategic victory, having successfully pushed the Romans out of their lands.
Oh.
Still, his campaigns in Britain had taken 2 years, and without Caesar's presence, Gaul was beginning to stir.
Right, so yeah, pretty much for the Britain, it was victory because they didn't get no land or anything. I mean, they basically probably just gave them some money and some goods just to get them out of there. But other than that, I guess it seems like, apparently it hurts more Caesar because he's neglected, all his land down here, and I'm sure like people are starting to gossip and talks of maybe turn against him. I don't know, but we'll see.
Years, and without Caesar's presence, Gaul was beginning to stir.
Yeah.
In 54 BC, a Gallic tribe, the Eburones, under their leader Ambiorix, successfully revolted in Belgica, ambushing and destroying the 7,000 to 9,000 strong Roman detachment that had been sent to winter in their territory at Atawetica. Following this success, Ambiorix began to besiege the Roman garrison in the Nervii territory, and a general revolt in the area broke out, the Indutio Maris and the Treveri also rising in rebellion and being supported by the Germanic tribes across the Rhine. This was a dangerous position. Caesar had spread his legions across Gaul in order to not put too much strain on the resources of one area, and thus divided, they were vulnerable targets. However, he reacted quickly, marching directly to the besieged legion in Nervii territory, while Labienus fought off the Indutio Maris. Upon seeing Caesar approaching, Ambiorix gave up the siege to face this new threat and was quickly defeated, while almost simultaneously, Labienus was able to successfully repel his opponents.
Okay.
Roman retribution for this revolt was swift and devastating. The Eburones were effectively wiped out, while Ambiorix, according to some sources, left Gaul for Germania. To help stabilize the situation, Pompey mobilized 2 more legions, and Caesar himself raised another. He now had almost 50,000 men in Gaul under his command. However, this was only the prelude to something much bigger.
Okay.
In 52 BC, Caesar returned to Italy in order to defuse another political problem, and in the same year, another large-scale revolt started. An Arverni leader, Vercingetorix, who probably knew about the political problems in Rome, had organized an alliance of powerful Gallic tribes that, inspired by Ambiorix, were now seeking independence, and had begun attacking Roman outposts and Roman allies in Gaul.
Wow.
Upon hearing this, Caesar quickly returned to Gaul to handle the situation. Going on one of his famous forced marches, he swiftly quelled the Senones and Carnutes by taking their capitals. His next target was one of the largest towns of the Bituriges, Novia Dunum. Vercingetorix attempted to stop Caesar's advance near the city, but the Roman heavy infantry was too much for the Gauls and they were forced to retreat.
Damn, it seems like every time Caesar he settles things down, conquers it, and then he goes off and he gets busy with another project. And while he's leaving this project, something stirs up over here. So, when he's up north, he's calming stuff down. But while he's up there, the Republic, down south, starting to stir the pot. So it sounds like he's trying to balance this out, because see what happens.
But the Roman heavy infantry was too much for the Gauls and they were forced to retreat, losing many, which allowed Caesar to take the city.
Okay.
To finish off the Bituriges, he needed to take their capital, Avaricum. At this point, Vercingetorix started employing scorched earth tactics, and the Bituriges joined him by burning down 20 of their towns, every one but Avaricum. The Romans moved against this settlement and besieged it, and although Avaricum was very defensible and Vercingetorix attempted to help its defenders, it fell in less than a month. Caesar slaughtered 40,000 locals and replenished his supplies.
Wow, 40,000?
It was clear for Vercingetorix that he couldn't beat the Romans in the field. Meanwhile, Caesar was eager to end the rebellion before it could spread to other Gallic tribes, so he decided to strike the decisive blow by taking the capital of the Arverni, Gergovia. Leaving some troops in the area, Caesar marched with 25,000 towards this settlement, while Vercingetorix
just realized that this Gergovia, this is the name of the actual videos, so duh, this is where the big battle is about to take place. And I was thinking that, we started off in Britain, and I was thinking that was where the whole video was going to take place, but guess not. But here we go.
area, Caesar marched with 25,000 towards this settlement, while Vercingetorix shadowed him. Gergovia was in a very solid defensive position, located on top of a high plateau, and Vercingetorix managed to overtake Caesar and positioned his army on the hills in front of the city. As he had done in previous battles, Caesar hoped to cut his enemies' supply lines in order to force them out of their defensive position, whilst he would be receiving supplies from the Aedui, his Gallic allies. However, the Gauls had occupied a hill overlooking the supply line, from where they could ensure water and grain could be transported into the city. Taking it would therefore be crucial to Caesar's plan.
Right.
In a quick night attack, he was able to dislodge the Gallic garrison there and station 2 legions on the hill, linking this position with the main Roman camp by a trench. So far, all was going according to plan. Caesar's allies would supply him from the rear, and Vercingetorix would now be forced to either sacrifice his defensive position in order to re-establish his supply line, or be starved out. However, Vercingetorix had his own plans. He bribed the Aedui, who then also joined the revolt, attacking the Roman supplies and threatening to cut off Caesar and surround him. Once again, Vercingetorix seemed to have studied Rome's tactics deeply, as this strategy was one of Caesar's own favourite strategies. Caesar was forced to leave 2 legions to guard the Roman position at Gergovia, and took the other 4 to deal with the Aedui, quickly subduing them and forcing them to send 10,000 cavalry back to the siege with him. This revolt had Caesar worried that he might face even more revolts and could soon be encircled by the rebels. He needed to extract his legions from Gergovia and consolidate his troops. However, the situation at the city was not looking good. The 2 legions left to guard the Roman camp had been hard-pressed the entire time Caesar had been gone. Furthermore, Vercingetorix had divided his forces, leaving half to defend and fortify the main Gallic camp in front of the city, and half, led by himself, to fortify positions on the surrounding hills on the Gallic right flank. With a 6-foot wall now in front of the main Gallic camp, and the Gallic fortifications on the hills, Vercingetorix had removed any opportunity for Caesar to encircle him and the city.
Wow.
Seeing the Gallic forces divided, Caesar saw an opportunity to attack their main camp in order to deal a heavy enough.
This is just really cool. It's like a really like a chess match. Like I feel like throughout this, it's only been like a few episodes since we started, but I feel like other than the one we just saw in Britain, like Caesar's really tested. Like people are learning his tactics right now, and and the rising up, is a big concern of his, and so he's got a lot going on, and it's definitely concerning right now because these guys have advantage. If their supply lines are still going, I guess not anymore because they're blocking them, but they got a lot on man, and they got the best defensive position. So here we go.
Caesar saw an opportunity to attack their main camp in order to deal a heavy enough blow to allow his army to retreat unmolested. He sent a diversionary force of 1 legion and some cavalry to the surrounding hills, making a huge amount of noise in order to distract the force commanded by Vercingetorix. Then he quickly and quietly moved his remaining legions up to the Gallic camp, leaving a few cohorts in the smaller camp on the occupied hill, while the Aedui cavalry were sent to flank around the Gallic left by another route. The Romans quickly clambered over the wall and fell upon the Gallic camp. The Romans initially had significant success, pushing the Gauls right up to the walls of the city, but Caesar ordered a withdrawal before the rest of the Gallic force under Vercingetorix could reinforce them. However, only 1 legion, the 10th, heard this order and retreated, the others continuing to press on and assaulting the city itself. Some Romans managed to climb on top of the city walls, but were quickly cut down and thrown back off. Missiles from the city walls fell into the Roman ranks as they fought around the base of the walls. Vercingetorix.
Damn, that is huge. Like a big portion of his army didn't even hear the order to retreat. Like, wow. Communication, man. Like, just a big mix-up, I guess. Like, I guess these first guys got the message and just forgot to tell, their buddies over there. Wow. I'm supposing these guys are way back here. The rest of this army is just gonna like sandwich it in here.
The base of the walls. Vercingetorix, realizing what was happening from his position on the surrounding hills, sent the rest of his force, headed by his cavalry, to reinforce the camp. The Roman position was now truly desperate. The initial Gallic force and the city walls were in front of them. There was no way of cutting a way out by pushing forward, and with Vercingetorix crashing into their flank, the legionaries were under serious pressure and were almost surrounded.
Wow.
The officers did their best to maintain Roman discipline and form a defensive formation. According to Caesar himself, 46 centurions died in this struggle, roughly a quarter of all the centurions present, and so maintaining any solid formation was almost impossible. The Aedui finally appeared on a hill to the Roman right flank, but the Romans, unable to tell if they were allied or not, broke completely, thinking that they were about to be fully surrounded. Caesar was able to use the 10th Legion and the cohorts that had been stationed in the small camp to cover the retreat, and prevented the Gauls from chasing them down, avoiding the total destruction of his army, and withdrew from the field. In his commentaries, Caesar says that only 700 men were lost in this battle, but this is likely vastly underplaying the situation. Caesar being
Yeah, there's no way just 700 people die. Like they like came in from the side. Oh, I came in. You can't see me. They came from the side, and, like whooped them. I bet that number was probably like 3,000. I bet it was like way or even more. I think that obviously he's got to worry about the politics back, in Rome. So he's got to make everything sound better than it really is. So wow, I'm guessing that's it then, right? You got defeated right there.
But this is likely vastly underplaying the situation. Caesar being forced to assemble a rearguard and retreating shows how disastrous the battle was, and it is likely that the Romans lost thousands, modern estimates suggesting as many as 6,000.
Wow, exactly.
This was the first time that Caesar had lost a pitched battle in Gaul, and one of the very few battles that he would lose in his military career. Vercingetorix had proved himself to be a deadly opponent, and was able to use Roman tactics and strategy against Caesar. To make matters worse for Caesar, his political power in Rome was also beginning to fracture, as in 53 BC, Crassus was captured and killed after the disastrous Battle of Carrhae. Without Crassus, Pompey and Caesar had no counterbalance and were now in direct opposition as the two most powerful men in Rome. Caesar would now be forced to face his two greatest opponents simultaneously, the talented, brave and cunning Vercingetorix in Gaul, and one of the greatest generals of the ancient world, Pompey, in Rome. We will talk about this struggle in the next episodes, so make sure you are subscribed to our channel and...
Wow. So, they had the three leaders in Rome, and they basically balanced, I guess the one, who was killed is kind of like the mediator between them, I guess the level head, and now there's only two, and like each one wants the power, obviously. I mean, he just got defeated, so he's down right now, and like, how is he going to be able to defeat like both armies? He can't do it at once, so he's gonna have to do one at a time. He's either going to have to defeat the guys up north first, or hurry up and head. Which I think he's gonna have to like probably gonna go ahead and head to Rome first before is it Pompous or Pompey? I'm sorry. Before he kind of establishes himself with the people and everything, like he's gonna get back there to say, "Hey, I'm still here, guys. I'm still here." So, wow, this next episode is gonna be insane. So, what's the next episode called? Um, Alesia 52 BC, Caesar's Gallic War. Okay, it doesn't really tell me anything. I'm guessing that's the place where the battle's gonna be. I don't know. I'll end up finding out. But wow, man, there's a lot going on this episode, and it's definitely like leaves a good like start. Everything else is to lead into something else. That's really exciting, and it makes you want to keep watching more and more. So I'm really enjoying this. I hope you guys are. Have you guys already seen this, or are you kind of watching along with me for the first time? But anyways, please still like and subscribe, guys. Really having fun with this series, and I really appreciate the suggestions that you guys have been giving. So I appreciate that too. And yeah, we will continue the journey with Caesar, and see. Obviously, he's not going to get killed. At least we know that's not going to happen, right? I'm not expecting like, oh my god, it ends next episode. So that that, but definitely fun stuff. And yeah, we'll continue on and see what happens next. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you guys in future videos. Peace. Have a good night.